Um, what can you say about your past that would reflect achievements or past record beyond immigration? I mean, your name is always attached with immigration, um, but what can you say about your past that would?
Sure, because this is an interview. When you're running for office, it's an interview. And, I'm happy to show you my resume. I was a person that came up in a family of business. My family had many different businesses: road construction, amusement park, restaurant, golf course. So I grew up in a business family. My wife and I had started our own business back in 1984 on $29.95 on just an idea. Within 5 years, the business became the largest in the state of Pennsylvania. When we sold the business in the year 2000, it was the 6th largest of its kind in the country.
What did that business do?
It was a pavement marking business, striped, marked highways. I'll give you an example. I mean, again, it was a business that we had started, and conventionally in Pennsylvania, they would just use paint to mark the lines. Paint stays reflective for, I don't want to get too deep into this, but it stays reflective for only 6 months and then it loses its reflectivity. I noticed in other states, especially we would go on vacation to Florida, as we were driving, each state I would get out and look at the markings on the highway. And I saw in other states that they were using different materials. They were using a thermoplastic, something that wasn't used here in Pennsylvania. I looked into this thermoplastic. It lasts 2 years as opposed to 6 months. When we came back, I sent men down to Atlanta, had them trained, bought equipment without a job. We did not have one job, bought a very specialized equipment, brought it back to Pennsylvania, and worked with PennDOT in showing them this new material that they use elsewhere. Thermoplastic now is used all over the state of Pennsylvania. When I ran for mayor. Again, not really liking politics or politicians very much. I didn't like what I saw in our local government. Businesses were leaving. Ran for mayor. Took over a city. At the time, we had a $6 million budget. We had a $1.2 million budget deficit. In 2 years, we wiped out the deficit. I had a $500,000 surplus. I got the Governor's Award for Excellence in Fiscal Management and Responsibility, something I'm very proud of. Was faced with another problem while I was mayor, and that was a problem with illegal immigration. It wasn't something that I wanted. I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to pick on illegal immigrants. It was a problem that I saw. I went to Washington, asked for help back in December of 2005. Talked about my budget, how it couldn't withstand this drain. I got a nice coffee mug, a lapel pin, a slap on the back, and good luck. I realized that Washington was not going to do anything to resolve this problem. I took an oath of office to protect the people in my community, so I found a solution. Some people may not have liked the solution, but the point is that I acted. I didn't do what was politically correct. I did what I thought was right for the people I represent. I had to go up against my own president, President Bush. Obviously didn't feel the same way that I did, and I didn't care. And I stood there alone for a long time under the eyes of an entire world. I've been called racist, a bigot. I've had my life threatened. But I knew what I was doing was right. And I think that's important in this job, because the reason I'm telling you that is I think that's what we lack in many of our leaders in Washington. Somebody who has the courage to go against their party if they have to go against their president if they feel the wrong thing is being done for the people they represent. We're now faced with a third crisis during my time as mayor. The financial crisis, which is probably the worst that Hazleton's seen. I had to make some very difficult decisions again. We have layoffs projected in our budget. We cut our budget as much as we possibly could cut it without cutting into the police department. The people of Hazleton did not want to see the police department cut because of issues with crime. So we've had to raise taxes after all of the cuts were made. Not something that I wanted to do. It will cost an average citizen in Hazleton over $200 more in taxes. But I wasn't satisfied with that because I realized that even if I wasn't there as mayor, if I won this election, I needed to find a solution again for Hazleton, not only for today, but for decades to come. Proposed selling the Hazleton Water Authority. It's worth about $70 million. After all the debt is paid, we will net over $40 million. I'm going to take the $40 million, put it in an irrevocable trust so that future mayors can't squander the money on worthless projects. The interest that we'll see from the $40 million will go into our budget to help balance our budget. I'm going to leverage the $40 million and borrow money to partner with an Exco to build a 5 megawatt solar power plant. Sell the energy back to the city. We'll be the first city in the state of Pennsylvania to power itself, and sell some of the energy to the Hazleton Area School District as well so that they could lower their costs. The energy savings will be about $300,000 in savings to the city, as well as the revenue we're going to generate from selling the power as well. We'll take care of Hazleton's budget to the point where we're going to be able to lower the taxes in Hazleton below what we even started at, hire police, and take care of our infrastructure. So I guess what I'm saying is that my entire career, I've found solutions. Every time I was confronted with a problem, I didn't just sit back and say, well, that's Washington's problem, or there's nothing I could do. Every city's having a financial problem. I faced every problem that came before me and did something about it. And I think that makes me well qualified. I think there's too much partisan politics in Washington. I believe that's gridlock has cost average citizens jobs and sometimes a brighter future. I have stood up to my party, my president. I am a Republican in a city that is 2-to-1 Democrats over Republican, and who knows me better than the people I work for every single day. I ran for office 3 times in Hazleton. I won my first term with a 2-to-1 margin. I won my second term by a 4-to-1 margin, and I won my third term with 90% of the vote. So, you know, I think my resume is good enough to say it's time for a change in Washington. Give somebody else, you know, somebody else who an opportunity to go there and work for the people here.